Did you know that Alabama once launched a rocket into space with a monkey as the pilot, years before humans ever reached the moon? Or that hidden in its forests is one of the purest marble quarries in the world, made of the same stone used to build the U.S. Capitol in Washington? And that an entire town was buried underwater, its ghost streets now resting at the bottom of a lake? Well, Alabama is packed with crazy facts just like these, and we've got 50 of them for you, so let's dive right in. 50. The Appalachian Tip. Most people think of Appalachia stretching far north, but the southernmost tip of the Appalachian Mountains dips right into northeastern Alabama. The topography here is rugged, with ridges and valleys cradling fast-flowing streams. For hikers and explorers, this is a hidden paradise of limestone cliffs and forested slopes, providing microclimates that sustain unique plant species not found elsewhere in the state. It's a geographic doorway to the mountains without leaving Alabama. 49. Mobile Bay Tidal Swings. Mobile Bay, Alabama's giant estuary, experiences some of the highest tidal ranges along the Gulf Coast. At low tide, mudflats appear that stretch for hundreds of feet, while at high tide, the water nearly swallows the shorelines. This ebb and flow shape marshes, oyster beds, and wetlands that are vital to both local fisheries and migratory birds, making it a living laboratory for anyone curious about coastal ecology. 48. Tennessee River's snake-like path. The Tennessee River doesn't flow in a straight line. Instead, it twists and turns across northern Alabama, forming bends and oxbow lakes that make the river almost a puzzle on the map. And these meanders have created fertile valleys along its banks and provide ideal locations for fishing, boating, and wildlife observation. The river's intricate path is one of the state's hidden geographic gems that most visitors overlook. 47. The Talladega Foothills. The Talladega Mountains aren't just famous for the racetrack. Their foothills rise unexpectedly from surrounding plains, creating panoramic vistas and wildlife corridors. These hills are remnants of ancient mountain ranges, now weathered and softened, but still towering high enough to provide excellent hiking and birdwatching spots. The unique soil composition here allows rare plants to thrive that don't survive in Alabama's flatter regions. 46. Alabama's Limestone Caves. Alabama has hundreds of limestone caves, many of which are relatively unknown to casual tourists. Cathedral Caverns and Rickwood Caverns are two famous ones, but numerous smaller caves form intricate underground rivers and chambers. These caves host unique mineral formations and, in some cases, rare species like blind salamanders and cave crickets. Geologists love this subterranean landscape as it tells a story of water carving stone over millions of years. Before continuing, be sure to subscribe to discover hidden stories and curiosities about every U.S. state that no one else will tell you. 45. Sand Mountain Plateau. North Alabama's Sand Mountain Plateau is a sandstone-dominated landscape that rises above the surrounding valleys. Despite its name, it's not all sand, but the soil is sandy enough to affect farming patterns and vegetation growth. The plateau's elevation also results in cooler temperatures compared to nearby lowlands, making it a distinct microclimate that surprises many visitors who expect flat southern plains. 44. Alabama's largest freshwater lake. Guntersville Lake, formed by the Tennessee River, is Alabama's largest lake by surface area. Stretching over 69,000 acres, it's not just a man-made reservoir, it's a sprawling ecosystem. Fishermen prize it for bass and crappie, while migratory birds rely on its marshy fringes during seasonal flights. Its winding shoreline creates private coves and hidden spots that feel like secret corners of nature, perfect for exploration or peaceful solitude. 43. Cahaba River's unique flow. The Cahaba River is one of the most biologically diverse rivers in North America. Flowing through central Alabama, it's famous for rare freshwater snails and the Cahaba lily, which blooms in the spring. What makes it fascinating geographically is how the river twists across ridges and valleys, creating shoals, riffles, and pools that support an astonishing array of aquatic life. Its path is a living mosaic of biodiversity. 42. Gulf Coast Barrier Islands. Alabama's Gulf Coast isn't just beaches. It includes barrier islands like Dauphin Island that act as buffers between the Gulf and mainland. These islands protect wetlands and provide nesting grounds for sea turtles and migratory birds. They shift slowly over decades due to tides and storms, creating ever-changing landscapes. This dynamic movement is a vivid demonstration of how coastal geography adapts and evolves in real time. 41. The Fall Line Surprise. The Fall Line cuts across central Alabama and marks the boundary between the Piedmont Plateau and coastal plains. Rivers drop abruptly here, creating waterfalls and rapids that once powered mills and now attract kayakers and anglers. The gradient shift from harder rock to softer sediments influences soil fertility and urban settlement patterns. The fall line is subtle on a map, but dramatically visible on the ground for anyone exploring Alabama's rivers. 40. Chilhaw Mountain Peak. Chilhaw Mountain is the highest point in Alabama, rising to 2,413 feet. From its summit, you can glimpse the surrounding Talladega National Forest stretching for miles. What's truly interesting is that the mountain is part of the ancient Appalachian system and hosts a mix of pine and hardwood forests unusual for Alabama. This combination of elevation and vegetation diversity creates microclimates perfect for rare wildlife and unique plant species. 39. Sipsey Wilderness Waterfalls. The Sipsey Wilderness in the Bankhead National Forest is dotted with waterfalls cascading over sandstone cliffs. These waterfalls, hidden in dense forests, are seasonal and highly dependent on rainfall, making each visit unique. The surrounding sandstone gorges have been carved over millennia, creating a maze of trails and small canyons. For hikers, photographers, and naturalists, it's an almost magical experience that feels far removed from the more commonly visited areas of Alabama. 38. Mobile River Delta Complexity. The Mobile River Delta is one of the largest river deltas in the United States, encompassing a network of waterways, marshes, and swamps. Its complex network of distributaries and channels creates an intricate patchwork of habitats, making it a haven for alligators, migratory birds, and freshwater fish. For those who venture into its quiet corners, the delta feels like a maze where every bend reveals a new ecosystem. 37. Eufaula Lake Reservoir System. Eufaula Lake, the largest lake entirely within Alabama, was created by damming the Chattahoochee River. Its shoreline stretches over 640 miles, providing endless opportunities for boating, fishing, and wildlife observation. The lake has created artificial coves and inlets, which mimic natural river systems and support thriving fish populations. This massive reservoir also plays a key role in flood control and regional water management, blending human engineering with natural geography. 36. Little River Canyon Heights. The Little River Canyon in northeastern Alabama is sometimes called the Grand Canyon of the East. It may not be as vast as its western counterpart, but its cliffs rise over 600 feet, creating dramatic vistas. The river running through it flows atop Lookout Mountain, giving visitors the rare experience of a river above a plateau, carving a canyon along its path. Its vertical walls and waterfalls make it a top destination for nature lovers. 35. Wheeler National Wildlife Refuge Wetlands. Wheeler National Wildlife Refuge covers more than 35,000 acres of wetlands along the Tennessee River. These wetlands are crucial for migratory birds and support diverse aquatic species. During winter, thousands of geese and ducks congregate here, creating spectacular natural displays. Geographically, the refuge sits in a lowland floodplain that traps sediments and nutrients, forming rich soils that make it a hotspot for biodiversity and ecological research. 34. Bankhead National Forest Hills. Bankhead National Forest in northwestern Alabama features rolling hills and forested ridges. The forest sits atop sandstone and limestone formations, producing rugged terrain with deep hollows and narrow valleys. Streams cutting through the hills have sculpted picturesque gorges and provide habitats for rare mussels and freshwater fish. Exploring these hills feels like stepping into a wild landscape that has been carefully preserved, a geographic treasure tucked away from urban centers. 33. Cahaba Lily Blooms. The Cahaba lily, Alabama's state wildflower, thrives along the Cahaba River. This rare lily only blooms for a few weeks each spring, often in shallow riffles of clear water. Its geographic significance lies in its need for very specific hydrological conditions: clean, flowing water, and gently shifting sediment. It's a reminder of how delicate and precise the relationship between geography and biology can be in Alabama. 32. Gulf Shores. White sand beaches. Gulf Shores beaches aren't just scenic, they're made of remarkably fine white quartz sand, imported over millennia from eroded Appalachian rocks. The sand remains cool underfoot even on hot summer days, and shifts easily with tides, creating ever-changing dunes. These beaches stretch for miles, offering a coastal geography that combines natural beauty with a dynamic shoreline, attracting millions of visitors annually while supporting a diverse coastal ecosystem. 31. Hurricane Creek Meanders. Hurricane Creek, a scenic tributary of the Black Warrior River, winds gracefully through northern Alabama's limestone valleys, forming tight meanders, shallow pools, and small cascading waterfalls. Over thousands of years, the creek's persistent flow has carved the surrounding bedrock, creating a landscape of gentle curves and narrow bends that both slow and accelerate water in different sections. Seasonal fluctuations in water levels further enhance this dynamic, as heavy rains swell the creek, forming temporary rapids and riffles, while drier periods reveal sandbars, exposed rocks, and shallow flats. These variations create ideal habitats for small fish, amphibians, and aquatic invertebrates, while also providing essential watering and migration corridors for terrestrial wildlife navigating the forests and wetlands alongside the creek. The limestone-rich soil and meandering patterns influence nutrient deposition, enriching the surrounding floodplain and encouraging lush vegetation growth. Hikers, anglers, and nature enthusiasts who explore Hurricane Creek are treated not just to a picturesque waterway, but also to a living example of how Alabama's rivers have shaped both the terrain and ecosystems over millennia. 30. Sipsey Fork Gorges. The Sipsey Fork of the Black Warrior River has carved deep gorges into sandstone bedrock, creating a labyrinth of cliffs, pools, and waterfalls. These gorges are often shrouded by dense forests, making them feel secret and untamed. The erosion over millions of years has exposed unique rock layers, giving scientists and explorers a window into Alabama's geological past. Hikers find themselves surrounded by towering walls that trap cool air, forming natural microclimates. 29. Lake Martin's extensive shoreline. Lake Martin, a massive reservoir formed by the Tallapoosa River, boasts more than 750 miles of winding shoreline. This irregular shoreline produces countless coves, islands, and peninsulas that provide habitat for bald eagles, bass, and waterfowl. For boaters, it feels like a coastal adventure inland, with hidden inlets appearing around every bend. Its irregular shape is a prime example of how dammed rivers transform geography into a recreational and ecological haven. 28. Alabama's sandhill crane habitat. In the coastal regions and wetlands of Alabama, sandhill cranes find crucial wintering grounds. These tall birds prefer open fields, marshes, and shallow wetlands, which are maintained naturally by Alabama's geographic layout of rivers, deltas, and floodplains. The migration of these cranes is a spectacle that highlights the state's role as a key link in broader North American flyways, showing how geography shapes wildlife behavior across the continent. 27. Muscle Shoals Waterfalls. The Muscle Shoals region along the Tennessee River has small yet scenic waterfalls hidden in the river's rapids. These falls are not only visually appealing but historically significant for hydrology and river navigation. The underlying limestone and shale create the perfect conditions for shoals to form, slowing river flow in stretches while contributing to nutrient-rich sediment deposits downstream. For anglers and naturalists, this is a region where geography and biology intersect beautifully. 26. Wheeler Dam's influence. The Tennessee Valley Authority's Wheeler Dam created a significant reservoir and reshaped northern Alabama's landscape. Its construction flooded valleys and lowlands, producing new wetlands and changing river flow patterns. The reservoir's presence has impacted local ecology, allowing migratory birds and freshwater fish to thrive in newly formed habitats. The dam demonstrates how human engineering interacts with natural geography, creating both recreational spaces and critical ecological zones. 25. Sipsey Wilderness Sandstone Cliffs. Sandstone cliffs dominate the Sipsey Wilderness, rising above valleys and waterfalls. These cliffs are ancient weathered remnants of broader sandstone formations, and they influence soil composition and forest structure. Plants adapted to the cliff face survive in conditions that differ dramatically from the forest floor, creating vertical ecosystems. Geologically, they illustrate erosion patterns and sediment deposition, highlighting the hidden vertical dimension of Alabama's forests. 24. Lake Guntersville Islands. Guntersville Lake is dotted with dozens of small islands, most of which are accessible only by boat. These islands provide nesting grounds for birds and secluded habitats for turtles and mammals. From a geographic perspective, they are remnants of hilltops that existed before the Tennessee River was dammed. The island's scattered arrangement adds complexity to the lake's shoreline and makes it a fascinating study in how water levels and topography interact. 23. Cahaba River Shoals. The Cahaba River is full of shoals, shallow rocky stretches where water rushes over limestone and sandstone. These shoals create oxygen-rich environments that are perfect for rare fish and aquatic plants. The shoals also reduce erosion downstream and act as natural filters, improving water quality. Hikers and kayakers find these areas particularly scenic, with sparkling water dancing over rock formations that have been shaped over thousands of years. 22. Delta marshland ecology. Alabama's delta regions, especially along the Mobile and Tensas rivers, support dense marshlands filled with reeds, cypress trees, and diverse wildlife. These marshes are flood-prone, acting as natural buffers that absorb heavy rains. The complex network of channels and wetlands also supports fisheries and migratory birds. The geography of these deltas changes subtly each year due to sediment deposition, demonstrating the dynamic relationship between water, land, and life. 21. Conecuh National Forest Pine Barrens. Conecuh National Forest in southern Alabama features extensive pine barrens, a rare ecosystem with sandy soils and fire-adapted vegetation. These pine-dominated forests differ markedly from the hardwood-dominated forests in the north, showing how soil and topography influence vegetation. Fire plays a natural role in maintaining the ecosystem, preventing hardwood encroachment. For ecologists and nature enthusiasts, the pine barrens are an unexpected geographic contrast within the state. 20. Alabama's underground rivers. Beneath northern Alabama lie numerous underground rivers flowing through limestone and karst systems. These subterranean waterways carve caves, sinkholes, and caverns, influencing surface water drainage. Some rivers disappear and re-emerge miles away, creating intricate underground networks. Speleologists and hydrologists are fascinated by these systems, which reveal the hidden geography shaping valleys, ridges, and even surface ecology across the state. 19. Dismal's Canyon's microclimate. Dismal's Canyon, a small sandstone gorge in northwestern Alabama, has a unique microclimate with higher humidity and cooler temperatures than surrounding areas. This microclimate supports rare ferns, mosses, and the elusive glowworm, which is visible in the evening. The canyon walls trap moisture and shade, creating a pocket of lush vegetation in an otherwise temperate region. It's a perfect example of how topography directly affects local ecosystems. 18. Alabama's Black Belt soil. The Black Belt region of Alabama is named for its rich, dark soils which gleam like polished chocolate rather than referring to martial arts. These soils were formed over millions of years from ancient marine deposits, creating an exceptionally fertile layer ideal for agriculture. Geographically, the Black Belt stretches across central Alabama, characterized by broad, flat plains interrupted by occasional low ridges and gently rolling valleys. This combination of flatlands and fertile soil made the region highly attractive for farming, shaping settlement patterns for centuries. Beyond agriculture, the richness of the soil supports diverse ecosystems, including forests, grasslands, and wetland margins, providing habitats for numerous plant and animal species. Today, the Black Belt remains a critical natural resource, influencing Alabama's economy, ecology, and even cultural landscapes. Its soils are a reminder of how geology and geography together can determine the prosperity and biodiversity of an entire region. 17. Bankhead National Forest waterfalls. The Bankhead National Forest isn't just forested hills. It's also home to multiple waterfalls, some hidden along remote trails. Water flows over sandstone and limestone, creating cascading effects that attract hikers and photographers. These falls, although not massive, add dramatic vertical relief to the landscape. They are natural laboratories for observing how geology and hydrology interact, from erosion patterns to plant colonization along wet cliff faces. 16. Alabama's coastal marshes. Alabama's Gulf Coast marshes, extending from Mobile to Baldwin counties, act as natural sponges during storms. They trap sediments, support oyster beds, and provide breeding grounds for countless species. These marshes form a dynamic interface between the ocean and inland rivers, with constantly shifting channels and tidal flows. They exemplify how geography, flat coastal plains, tidal influence, and sediment deposition create some of the most productive ecosystems in the state. 15. Little River Canyon Falls. Within the dramatic landscape of Little River Canyon, several waterfalls gracefully tumble down cliffs carved from the ancient sandstone of Lookout Mountain. These cascades vary in height, ranging from 50 to over 100 feet, and seasonal rains often amplify their flow, transforming the canyon into a spectacular display of water in motion. The falls do more than please the eye. They play an essential role in shaping the surrounding geography, influencing local sediment transport, creating plunge pools and establishing unique microhabitats for plants, amphibians, and fish. The vertical drop provides cooler, shaded areas where moisture-loving vegetation thrives, creating a stark contrast to the drier surrounding hillsides. For anglers, hikers, and naturalists, these waterfalls offer both adventure and observation opportunities. Visitors can trace the water's journey from the river above to the Cascades below, marveling at one of Alabama's rare vertical features in a state largely characterized by rolling hills, gentle gentle valleys and expansive plains. 14. The Tennessee Tombigbee Waterway. This massive waterway connects the Tennessee River to the Gulf via the Tombigbee River, creating a navigable shipping route through Alabama. The waterway reshaped local geography, creating locks, reservoirs, and artificial channels. When it influences flood control, commerce, and recreation, from a geographic perspective, it demonstrates how rivers can be modified to suit human needs while still supporting diverse ecosystems along its banks. 13. Utah Creek Valleys. Utah Creek winds through limestone valleys in western Alabama, creating fertile floodplains and meandering paths. These valleys support agriculture, wildlife, and small human settlements. The creek's meanders are classic examples of natural fluvial patterns, where water slowly carves sediment and shapes landforms over centuries. Explorers and photographers often find these valleys quietly spectacular, with soft hills and reflective water creating an almost painterly landscape. 12. Dauphin Island Barrier function. Dauphin Island protects the mainland from storm surges while supporting unique habitats for shorebirds and migratory waterfowl. Its narrow, elongated shape is constantly reshaped by waves and wind, highlighting the interplay of coastal forces and sediment transport. From a geographic standpoint, the island is a live demonstration of how barrier islands form, evolve, and protect inland ecosystems, a dynamic lesson in coastal geography. 11. Sipsey Wilderness Biodiversity Hotspot. The Sipsey Wilderness, often called Land of 1,000 Waterfalls, contains one of Alabama's richest concentrations of biodiversity. Its sandstone gorges, streams, and hills provide habitats for rare salamanders, freshwater mussels, and numerous plant species. The area's topography, deep valleys, and steep ridges creates isolated pockets where species can thrive without much human interference. It's a geographic gem that underscores how terrain directly supports biological diversity. Before we get to the 10 facts that corroborate what I told you at the beginning, remember to subscribe to the channel and give it a like to become experts in American geography. 10. Cheaha Mountain's unique flora. While Cheaha Mountain holds the title of Alabama's highest peak, rising to 2,413 feet, its significance goes far beyond mere elevation. The mountain's cooler temperatures, combined with rocky outcrops, ridges, and varied sunlight exposure, create a variety of microhabitats that support plant species rarely found elsewhere in the state. Along its slopes, rare wildflowers bloom in seasonal bursts, while mixed hardwood and pine forests form striking contrasts in both color and texture. Certain plants here have adapted to the thin, rocky soils and the mountain's unique drainage patterns, thriving in conditions that would challenge species at lower elevations. Botanists, hikers, and nature enthusiasts flock to Cheaha not only for panoramic views, but also to study its ecological diversity. The mountain serves as a living laboratory, illustrating how even modest elevations can dramatically influence local ecosystems, preserve biodiversity, and sustain species that rely on these specialized habitats. 9. Alabama's underground limestone formations. Beneath much of northern Alabama lies an extensive network of limestone formations. These create caves, sinkholes, and underground rivers, shaping surface topography in subtle ways. Water moving through these formations dissolves rock over millennia, forming intricate subterranean landscapes. Geographically, these formations affect drainage patterns, soil stability, and even river courses. Cave explorers often find themselves navigating natural mazes that illustrate the slow, persistent power of water and geology. 8. Lake Lurleen Reservoir Microhabitats. Lake Lurleen, though smaller than Alabama's giant reservoirs, provides a striking example of how water bodies shape geography. Its irregular shoreline forms coves, peninsulas, and wetlands, creating microhabitats for fish, amphibians, and birds. Seasonal water level changes expose mudflats and sandbars, further diversifying the ecosystem. The lake demonstrates how even modest reservoirs can generate ecological complexity and recreational opportunities, blending human utility with natural processes. 7. Conecuh National Forest Rolling Sand Hills. Conecuh National Forest in southern Alabama contains unexpected rolling sand hills that contrast with nearby flatlands. These dunes and sandy ridges influence drainage, soil type, and plant communities. The sand hills are ideal for fire-adapted species, including longleaf pine and wiregrass, which thrive in this unique environment. This landscape highlights the variation within Alabama's forests and showcases how elevation, even subtle, creates distinct ecosystems. 6. Sipsey River's hidden waterfalls. The Sipsey River and its tributaries conceal dozens of small waterfalls tucked into forested hollows. These waterfalls are seasonal and often unseen unless you hike carefully off trail. Their presence shapes local geography, creating plunge pools and microclimates that support moisture-loving plants and amphibians. For explorers, discovering a hidden waterfall along the Sipsey feels like stumbling upon a secret passage through time, carved by water over thousands of years. 5. Wheeler National Wildlife Refuge and Floodplain. The floodplains of Wheeler National Wildlife Refuge illustrate how rivers sculpt landscapes. Seasonal flooding deposits nutrient-rich sediment, creating fertile wetland soils. These floodplains support diverse species, from migratory birds to freshwater mussels, and act as natural buffers against downstream flooding. Wheeler demonstrates how geography, hydrology, and ecology intersect to form living landscapes that shift and adapt year by year, offering endless opportunities for observation and study. 4. Gulf Coast's Mobile Tensaw Delta Channels. The Mobile Tensaw Delta features hundreds of intertwined channels, bayous, and sloughs, forming one of the largest delta systems in the U.S. The delta's labyrinthine geography supports alligators, fish, and migratory birds, while its shifting channels constantly reshape the land. Kayaking or boating here is like navigating a maze where every bend reveals a new ecosystem. It's a living example of how sediment, water, and tides create dynamic, evolving geography. 3. Alabama Barrier Islands Constant Shift. Alabama's Gulf Barrier Islands, including Dauphin and Petit Bois, are not static. They shift gradually due to wave action, tides, and storms. This movement reshapes dunes, beaches, and marshes, providing dynamic habitats for nesting shorebirds and sea turtles. The island's changing geography also protects inland areas from storm surges, showing how natural formations can act as living shields while maintaining delicate ecosystems. 2. Little River Canyon's Elevated River Path. The Little River flows atop Lookout Mountain, an unusual geographic phenomenon in Alabama. The river has carved a canyon into the plateau, creating steep cliffs, waterfalls, and unique habitats along its elevated path. This combination of river and plateau creates a striking contrast to Alabama's rolling hills and lowlands, offering photographers, hikers, and nature lovers panoramic views and rare opportunities to observe riverine ecosystems at elevation. 1. Alabama's incredible biodiversity hotspots. Finally, Alabama is recognized as one of the most biodiverse states in the continental U.S., largely because of its varied geography. Mountains, rivers, wetlands, deltas, and coastal plains intersect to create microhabitats for rare fish, mussels, birds, and plants. From the Sipsey Wilderness waterfalls to Mobile Bay's tidal flats, the state's landscapes directly support this richness. Geography is not just a backdrop, it's a living framework that nurtures life in ways few visitors ever imagine. Alabama may not always be the first state that comes to mind for epic landscapes, but its geography tells a story of hidden diversity, surprising heights, twisting rivers, and evolving coastlines. From subterranean rivers to barrier islands, rolling sandhills to canyon waterfalls, the state is a mosaic of natural marvels. Each feature shapes ecosystems, influences human settlement, and invites explorers to discover something unexpected around every bend. Next time you think of Alabama, remember, it's much more than flat plains or beaches. It's a living classroom of geographic wonders, waiting for curious eyes and adventurous feet. Now that you know these 50 facts about Alabama, tell us, which one did you like the most, or which one surprised you the most? We'd love to read your opinion in the comments and see how many of us picked the same number. And something else many of us will probably agree on is watching the video I'm leaving on screen, because we all love sharing and learning interesting facts. And that's exactly what this video is all about. But before you watch it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give it a like. Otherwise, we might not see each other again.